going to say something was winding up to say something about the nerve and field of meaning of this violent rehearsal, its implications for life on Earth. Sort of said it, sort of meant the cool afternoon and its brutal interests, something in the work boots of the culture dispenser, and I'm returning the books to your shelves. I come here every day, you know, and never find pleasure. Never. All that atheist shit done. Isn't the winter where our heads are tilted toward the sun? People pass through my life like sirens, which is not right, not desirable. When the day was falling, sound was processed, claustrophobic, said love like mine, go, leave. We're in the time the sun produced, or out of time, saying, how will we love this far away from heaven? Well, it's lonely here, people say. You shouldn't have been born, but here you are, whole world to binge. We've got to do something to save the children. The reel has that bad color now. My surprise was fluid, so bright when I discovered it. The sun gushed roughly down my forehead, lips, etc. The red flags cracked the black of the air. I thought kids in this climate, with these ordinances, these bullets flying. But my blinds are shut. When attachment is stunned by punishment, the blinds just close themselves. My work in its troubled way is strewn about the room, and I hear This Is America from the apartment next door. My world is so ugly, but I'm beginning to like it as I look forward to its changing soon. Ours too, James confirms, is an age of propaganda. In my various educations, I had the shape of an idea about myself. Without money, hostile to confession, doomed to the shallow knowledge of the narcotized, granite, arms up, elbows out, aflame, asphyxiated, rageful, colored, on the far side of war and domination. But when I said my life was ugly, I was wrong for what I meant by it. There's no place for that kind of confirmation. I was scrolling when I was thinking, words were hammering. Then my mind was filled by the light on my face, the blue light, the black lightning. This year I'm thinking of wearing brighter colors. I'm a fun person, imagine, demanding, imagine, ever so sprayed by circumstance. So blood and carbon, so in my troubled way, superstitious, diseased. I learned that when it comes to writing poems, material isn't enough, or dreams. You just miss me saying, I love you. I understand Flaxen now. I think Laurel Halo, John Lennon, like that back and forth. Laurel Halo, John Lennon, Laurel Halo, etc. A voice dense and consistent as cake. Pound cake, yellow cake, Laurel Halo, technocratic measure, John Lennon, distant family. This happens a lot where I actually had to look up Flaxen again because I was like, I don't remember if I understood that correctly. Like I forgot what it meant. But they don't really like fact check when you publish, like maybe for some poetry, but I got kind of worried about that later. I was like, what if I said something that's like totally wrong? But actually Adorno talks about how many different censors there are in the whole social chain of producing cultural objects. So the fact that it was not censored because no one edited it is like kind of nice. Love just don't fade away. I said, I'm proud of you. He said the same. I said, what's that missing from? What's that hail? And will I wake from these visions of defection to change them in time to change them, to puncture that kind of gun wave, gun lean, gun warning, crisis call, that eschatological hemorrhage from the image factory? Is time ill, curable? Can Justin Timberlake still distract from the war? What's pride in the States? No kids and people say good. But I was so hurt by the idea, between the day end and the destitute, running over the bridge to get sun, bread. It's a miracle of material, so I can explain it. There's no antisocial destination, jerking and scratching, the uprising actually exceeding reason, transforming meaning, this orange burst in the air, floodlights pulled down to the street. We can't just tap our veins for content when we haven't eaten what's needed. I fell out on the white sheet of the bed and depressed a hole in the world, brought back with ice and honey. I tried to reassociate. The burning precinct more than pleased me, pleased to enter my life from inside it and ask, what's the real horizon? But when he heard that, he lost patience, lost it. That's how it looks from across the room where I live. So we have to look superheroism in the face and peel it off, not get shaved to pieces by fishbone, fish scale propaganda. In the black night, it's nasal, aluminum, fucks your DNA up, makes the image wet with plasma and weeping. So much bad laughter today, like I imagined hyenas. All I perform is presence, the missiles that come along with that. But this anxiety is an inflation of a normal condition. There's pressure to it with this upward inflection, this kind of slur, this marshy stitching, martial footing. I looked at the tunnel roof and wept, the fallen tree, and never stopped weeping. In the writing where everything matters, we're guided to the back of a car and driven to a forest. Too tapped, but you're so good, I hope, regardless. My heart is with you. I review its labor, and you lie on the roof in the sun, getting darker, thinking of me or reading, whatever Elizabeth Cotton said, just going down the road, feeling full of young and bed and fervor, some armor scored and hanged on the hook of the hollow wall. So if I die today, it will be just like this, red, resonant, stretched on the bed like the long string instrument, non-chaotic, non-rational, ceaseless as rain, more perverse, mechanical. Went home, fell out. Felt that draining feeling while I'm drawing the heat and sound out of winter. I asked the black night, please give me a form to rest in, a veil of tears through which I can conceive of your body. Something other than trained and equipped, or beaten, hit in the head by injurious meaning. It's late in the year and the streets are ragged, half cleared. There's a sensation of great wrong. I see myself get up and I see myself stagger. It's dark outside on this semi-public street, and there's a weight on my ankle, 100 pounds, 200. Someone says come inside, but the door is far, the rain is raw, clipping. All heard and left hanging by the person who is not yet physically strong. I have visions of frothing, overcoming, useful cathexis in the cold, cold summer with the trees suiciding as they described car accidents in great graphic detail. Fear language, fear ethic, this continual droning, heart-snatching, trust not possible, only compelled, then abused. The pros and cons of slavery, Little time bombs, we were struck in the head, then multiply and often, with my head leaned against glass and rippling, escaping. In my dream, the dead walked slowly through the back door. The light would darken, clouds swarm. Wept enough, cried enough, died enough. It took a 6-second to make sense of what happened, but now I understand. Beep goes the bulldozer reversing. $100 goes the electrocardiogram. We didn't love the industry of speech, so we wanted lines loose and crystal to change them. We wanted the throat to clear, cap, condense. And not sleeping, I had a need to make things up. I'm just going to read one more poem, if that's okay. It's the end of the book, so there's no other option. As I approach the door with a welcoming action. Now, as I live my life in service of becoming so present, R.I.P. Pop Smoke, Grandma Gloria, Linda, literally memory, plastic ocean, self-medicate, clouds break up, black horizon. As the block end swarms with men fixing the roof of the key foods, we live obviously in a state, weeping, contesting the subway, all open and running and slowing down. The police are inserting a person into a bag and into a van. 16 or so of us watching. Sure, I'm almost 30, shale-like, abundant. It's actually not on the nose because I'm not thinking at all. I read this interview about the language of organ tuning and harmonic expressions that have been disappeared from the Western music historical memory. Different tunings for different villages, tunings for the church, the castle, different cultures of feeling. Can't verify. Reality comes roaring off my body in these great gray waves. So I've ghosted jobs. I'm not self-satisfied or grateful for minor good fortunes. It's a high value that glows where new ideas gather. I'm trying to elaborate this idea of vulnerability in my relationships that deprioritizes the transcendence of fear and ugliness. But I might be wrong about it, the voice being so naked in song and desire. I don't have my priorities in order. I feel I have a lot of fear and ugliness to transcend. I miss my friend, she's gone away, even though she lives in Flatbush. In New York, that's not far from where I live, that's the joke. Someone utterly screams outside my window. Today I saw my body in the mirror and tears came. I was so grateful for life. My pupils were so wide. My heart was so full of worms, then it wasn't. I'm sure it isn't. A day of recording my saying hello to myself. Self-medicate, drone, escutcheon of fortitude. I think what I want to say is not in the words area. It comes from earlier on. My fear of the body I didn't know I had. I get older. I put something human on my face. Not that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. And thank you for acknowledging, as I was planning to do just now, that Alex Cruz is not with us in the building tonight, unfortunately, due to a COVID exposure, but will be projected onto this screen shortly. The other thing I have to mention is that this space was double booked this evening due to a miscommunication, and there's a band, or maybe several, out there waiting to play as soon as we are done. So you can either stay for that, perhaps pay for that, or we'll all find a bar to hang out afterwards. I think that's all of the logistics. So I'm going to introduce Alex Cruz. Alex Cruse's work feels to me both planetary and hermetic. She follows dialectical conflicts within language into places of both such granularity and grandeur that the binaries we were chasing transform into fractals. Her poems accrete with catalogs of microscopic resistances, disrupted supply chains, glitched jargon and slang as evidence of the endless interpenetration of linguistic and material systems. I might be making her work sound epic, and maybe it is, but it also resists that definitiveness by squeezing these concerns into absurdly taut lines which are as wry as they are fleeting. There's a bite and a daring in these poems that is able to aim itself in all directions because it reveals its details to be instances of patterns. In this focus on underlying logics, her work refuses the closure of the singular while holding open the possibility of a radical approach to structures with deeper roots than human awareness can detect. It may seem at first that the work is defined by dissonance, cacophony, but in moving all the way through it, one begins to sense a different kind of order, a halo that suggests the limit of perception. There's a discomfort as well as an excitement there in that uneasy parallels are being drawn between modes of resistance and modes of domination that suggest or perhaps demand new concerns for art and politics. Kruse moves towards the ruptures in language, naming them fearlessly while also dispelling their authority, to return our attention to the parts of structures that are still surrounding those points of breakdown, looking around to see what else might be more fragile than it looks, and what would it take to topple it. Please join me in welcoming Alex Kruse.
Am I on?
You're on.
Thank you so much, Violet. I'm left a little wordless and speechless after that introduction. You're incredible. And I hope I can do it justice tonight. Thank you to everyone who helped make tonight possible. I know it was a real labor, and I'm very, very sorry I can't be there in person with you all. So yeah, thanks again to Violet, Sid, everyone at SPT, and Linda, and everyone at ATA. And of course, Benjamin, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there to read with you in person, but this won't be the last time, I hope. So without further ado, I'm going to just read some writing that from the past year or so, just in reverse chronological order. And yeah, so I'm not really sure. I guess I'll just step away when I'm finished. Thank you also to Kevin, who is helping with the live stream and with filming. Thank you. Thanks for being here. This is from a manuscript entitled Solo for World System. Dropping lifestyle heights. Vessel, modern. Water, barrels motion toward. Or wait, there is much longer and without impact, long unendured, the miracle, soundless, if you want it. War in Spartan burb of risk, a lookalike overturned set in statue, that is shelter in something common. Repetitively shining classed materials, a contingent being worthy of moral treatment, like advanced weather, acid-free cleanups afore taking leave, the taking stabs, people selling you product live and breathe amongst, what are stars if not just like us? Oblique attitude, curtain surface skull, emergent symbolic quota, this graduated glass, frailty thy other name, to cover a person like a song, an identical semaphore, pulling something out of apophenic coupling. Global solicitor comes round, eating alphabetically, eating by sound, The disposition of the day is long, hope's a plastic mass upon my lifeblood. Landscape rash and parried back to sear far sunder in the first act, leaving all viewers to draw conclusions. On this I will pray, in whatever tone conforms to the secondary myth our gaze composes. In minima, uniform mathy imminence, the well-trained punk cube dangles inward skies, Dutch angels sing, protocol animating grain, fell-mongered ounce, commodity read-throughs metabolically restored, a preservative, a shipping route. I learned to dance from Buster Keaton and a piece of rotting fruit. Sins eating fast and wastefully, which body con poured in. The perfect delivery, my big opening. Primed for state-sanctioned modes of historical situations, nudges, ones and twos, passively synthesized. According to custodial accounts, palettes in red, interval thinking of the debt to take on Mattering's lamb, worked over on shared equipment, you sometimes feel you have already slept your way to the top. As one dodges activities of devotion, whichever way this century turns, kids today becoming the children of tomorrow's inflatable smile, Highway 9, a creature to run from, a creature to drive over, bred for cheer, I'll take you there, to daisy-chained Baroque overdevelopment, compulsively aglow, the excised horizon, I skip. This next poem contains a line from the film by Tom Anderson, Edward Muybridge, Zoopraxographer, beginning with the lines, the long dresses accentuated the nakedness in other sequences. Addicted anomie IRL, first experience thereof, lambent guilt, would that masking counter public its many weak rules. You can defend a forest, but you cannot defend a tree. Every day we build our angel and its colony like uses on fire. Prophecy burdens wonder, avatars unconsidered, what's leaving behind as though able to perceive the flaw which separates their art from God's. Eventually silent birth, unsolicited whole in time, a circular sky, the long full dresses accentuate the radicalism in other sequences. Held up by shelling, our hearts in ours, a lady in the margin at the side of the gloss. I tap into my war machine, a craze to hazard you umpteenth dawn, too close in overtone if not in style. Detached awareness on set, properly alkaline Feldenkrais head bash. Revolutionary example, hello world, not hello earth. Homologies between interfacial space, physics in excess of volunteers, family and its cosmetic parts, the surviving twin transform. How do you get aesthetics? How do you make the girl clean? No other species is pretending. Grammars personalize apocalypse, liberalism's perverse apex as libretto submitted off thread. Specificity unchecked, half summer I spent diaphanous attract, cooing at a combination lock, tracing a blended line, both sockets torsioned Antifa colorways, like children put into competitive everything. Doxically infant materialist misting the grid, queued up holder, flowers over your shoulder before Broca deeply bows, far left fuchsias born out on the pissed earth, round and alive, breakout star of Dimphna sacraments. Like spanners for stoppages, life fights its drift, sempiternal outflow, revving freedom beyond all recognition. Seeds own security there. Goes whom? Backfilled precedent. What drag or flake of heaven fucking light rain, often made to prorate distant fivers in an other's vitreous glove. As disciplines remake crises in their own accomplished fate, head-slapping bacchanalian default, a forest of names across my enemies cast for resiliency brochure. The rights have sprung, the liquid, clean, and audible. Chaining every loophole, a low spin, a loud, excite stone-walled pretense from safety of its ampule. Bloodied chevron stalks, lack handedness to lay and defilade. Seen here, fenestrated vehicular glare, smoke leaning out the wind, choking on silks of privacies rising, swings from endangered shade to set point and estimated solfege, blurs its eighths while overbearing just one ordinal, vague and hot, spans past and left of lords, giving away the hour. Routine of mind's a position on fantasy. Rations are optional still, and this will feel permanent very slowly. My soul and my soul, worse teeth in noise, the like of you giving me up for birthday, and what militates that, what beats that? Kibosh St. Jerome kickback, spooling nature's volition, center no ground for its settling. The divide authenticates dearth of single-digit century, our tube, permissioned firm, breathe normally. I am sick of the sun. I am sick of Halloween. All days and ages mourned, sees me in their articles and icons inconsolably floral. For what? For sport? For such petty amounts? Let's activate this fucking head count. Who is actually in, and whose repeatable fact of visual infrastructure in this cotillion of reincarnated hair colors? Emergent tandem byline, transatlantic wooing obscure shares, confluence of citational mercuries peaked, a scarred untimely ripe, resistance in the suture, a patchwork of veils to keep the tears in place. Unlocked Ednos, I'd rather starve than defend protection of my sacrifice. Cirrus germ, what celestial vacation wouldn't seek aposematic refuge in my body? Layaway scaling bent in endless triages, exhausted hybrids, fractionalized rainbow babies of the 1%, the forest blue, billions, billions, a universal beige, aggressively twee laughter instead of our typical rating system. Off your face, introspect with confidence. Doing hard things in white houses, my mainstay, my dealer. From a car, a man calls to me and it feels like I am reading a comment on a photo. Are you here to meet someone? I reply, everyone. Always looks the same in surprise, smiles upside down lining my grave. One's touchability, just an index of his finitude. Hyster and charism, sea change induction, choked up Lossier mainline, redacted number dad for the woman and child perennially first. To contradict ecstatic attachment, genes all up in the sirocco and thistles randomly. Preserving island chains, unmarked mass, a chalked up Baltic treasury, ruble severance, giddy up plebiscite, equalize our ransoms. Magnetized trace kindles radar standard glow as body exfoliates parasitic abstract. What is the world this body verbs? Max Glasnost figure-headed Hafe sleeps in census to lock taut eyeline in distress. Ozone password, secure memories past hosts, a singular death, inhabited as only others can. To keep in touch with your enemies, you make of the sky a mineral intelligence, staring into the mirror, awaiting your next instruction, specimen on a plate. We often never, we in evacuated paradise, we kind of man, we the tide coming in like terror, we the night without sleep, we the train across panicked America, we automated nightfall across all the city's cubes, end of the animal is mine. We under permanent embargo, here comes every, running in my family, happen tomorrow, our grifting persuades, each time the carriage returns to morphin orphan fact, unseized anagram issues all lovely and cool. We the anemia her gazes teach, we ache and a haze germinates, her perfect face, all those broken eggs. Sometime in autumn 2046, Teppel's mismanaged room tone turned ears to finer instrument, the imaginative supplanted by associative consciousness, elegiac motes suckling atmosphere robed in paradigmatic blush, wainscot punchin, timestamps the parole, tied up in Caroline and bursting enriched white, unveiled phosphate lyrical fringe and scratchers piled, torques the mortal hijink, The ladles brimmed with grist, executables blasted another crest of ash, its languid zodiac unmoved. Heat-sought architecture's too full pleat, latches oft spot, Slavic plating slowly onto reproductive core in classic Cold War arrivant style of Doxa's creamed unshakable core, my scythe edge of ilex and edibly decked, stock chart just a red gesture, rimmed circle whose center you want to touch just to see which side of the mirror matters less, infoliated as true experts disagree on how best to verify the limbic stain, as one hikes down the last lap of our life. My blood in the centrifuge, swish, swish, swish. Nitrated mallow, mauve decade evolves caustic potash, a head deprived of its acid. Eustress apperceives experience, ruling presence, eclipsed by its number. All around me, he pushes the lope, past biomasses, flammable cladding, upper management, and wades in offshore sweat of all fields to hold subdivides embrace aloft. Its ballistic sloped with Hockett's latency. More than happy, continental priming warms to the tempe, sinking sapphic imprint. Someone else's element for a girl, and to the victor go music, childhood. Thickened crush to cull from margin should interest fall. A loamy off-season, blazing fields of Christ. Trade winds reverse migration, no more Sally's keeping mom pre-war hindsight. Them's the neutrals, the levers for blue liners. Hormone antagonized smile clicks to release rarest paradise, helming windows from which autarky issues forth. Sluttier pro formas, like the eternal catcall you run neither away from nor toward. Quoth mom as kinder, the sun, it's everywhere. Clot of winter's grays, permafrosted trenches glisten in small concentric dependencies. We swab temples neath butchered nom in all lumen writ, all that veal, velvet bows, velvet fifths, equally doomed rings for il duce, to break the carpel of one's vacant heart. Black chorecoat scraps for morning hive, Amazon Bogart's Brazilian flame. This poison's all warning. Thank you all again. Thank you to Benji, readers. Love you all. Take care.